This is how the future on the streets might look like. You need to cross the street. There is an autonomous robot like that, basically stopping the traffic and allowing you to cross safely. The IPA2X robot can be thought of as an intelligent assistant for pedestrians, an autonomous rover aimed at improving safety at crossings, for example for children, people with mobility issues and all pedestrians. It has two main parts: the base, or if you will a chassis with wheels driven by electric motors. On the 2-meter pole is the second part of the robot, basically its brain, LiDAR and cameras, thanks to which it can recognize objects in its surroundings, mainly approaching vehicles. This hat also has an HMI, screens that signal to drivers and pedestrians. In addition, the vehicle can communicate with the approaching car, for example through its infotainment system. Put simply, it's an intelligent moving traffic light. This rover was developed by two Italian startups, iPert and LifeTouch. Škoda Auto is also involved. The company even created a special mask for the ENIAC IV that can give signals to pedestrians. Prague's CTU helped with the communication aspect between the rover and vehicles or unique applications. The entire EU-funded project is managed by the Technical University of Munich and we'll be discussing it in more detail in today's Simply Clever podcast. We filmed the IPA2X robot in action in Modena, where part of the system was developed. We're standing next to the road, we want to cross the street, so what's going to happen right now?
So basically the rover will detect the car and will signal to the car that there is the pedestrian that are going
there's
to
a
cross.
stop sign there.
Exactly.
Yes.
So, and then when the rover comes to the middle of the intersection, then the sign will switch, will signal to the pedestrian green light for the pedestrian, still the warning sign for the car. And then when we are done basically with the crossing after a specific amount of time, then the rover will switch again the sign to red for the pedestrian, and then we'll put a stop sign for the cars, and then we'll switch to a green light for
there's a green line, the car can go.
Yeah, the car can go, and that is basically the basic, the traffic light, smart traffic light for the cars. Yes, exactly.
For our audience, we're right now in the garage where iPert, one of the startups collaborating on IPA2X project, is located. Maybe we should explain the name IPA2X. What does it mean exactly?
Yes. So IPA2X is Intelligent Pedestrian Assistant to Everyone. Okay, and so the objective was of the project is to have a helper, and a sort of intelligent traffic light which is also moving to help people to cross complicated intersection, and so pedestrian intersection. And these should help people maybe with disabilities or people that are, for example, so kids or let's say elderly people to be alone and at the same time safe in crossing intersections.
Can you maybe briefly describe the rover itself and basically the main players of the projects that collaborated on that?
Yes. So, well, the rover, you see it here. So basically it is retrofitting, well, it is an evolution of an existing rover. Okay, the existing rover is developed by LifeTouch. Also this rover, the main motoric is developed by LifeTouch, the sensoric part is developed by iPert. And so they will get in details so later about this. So the idea was to have a rover with an with a pole, okay, and this pole is approximately 2 meters high, so that the cameras with a position on top and the LiDAR should be able to see also above cars which might be parked, and here in Italy is, for example, a problem, okay, very close to the intersection, so that the rover has the capability to see and to see incoming traffic also above these cars. So the partners, so in addition to TUM, so we have iPert and LifeTouch. We have also another another company in Italy, Evidence, which has been dealing with the communication part. Then we have the Technical University of Prague, and we have the Technical University of Munich. We are not only the leader, but we have done some part, of course, of the project as well. Then we have the municipalities of Modena, we have the municipalities of Milan, and we have the municipality of Ljubljana in the form of the AV Living Lab. And so these are basically and of course Skoda, but I mean this is otherwise we would not be here today, right? So
yeah, but also as you mentioned, it's an autonomous rover. So for me, it almost immediately goes to the idea of autonomous driving. So what is the idea behind that? Is this some, let's say, requirement? So in the future we can have autonomous cars, and we need these, let's say, I don't know, autonomous infrastructure for the whole system to work?
Yeah, is not a requirement per se now. Okay, of course, this is a clear path towards a possible evolution of these. So at the moment, the rover does not require to communicate with an autonomous driving car to work. But in the future, yes, it is clearly foreseeable that the rover will communicate with the cars, so that the cars will autonomously take a decision to brake well in advance before the intersection. Or might be also positioned in, so some possible extension of the usage of this rover, so might be positioned somewhere where, for example, kids are playing. So we'll just monitor the area, informing vehicles or informing autonomous driving cars that there is a possible danger, and so if kids, for example, are moving and so on, we'll tell the cars that they have to stop maybe in advance. Yeah, the typical case that every driver is fearing when driving to kids populated area. That maybe in the future. Yeah, not now.
But in the future, it must be a little bit faster to save the kids playing around.
We'll just inform the car, so the car will save the kids, so by not hitting it, yeah, or yeah.
But you said it's not a requirement for the autonomous driving deploying itself, but on the other hand, when there will be some autonomous cars, they will need something like that.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. Definitely. It is something that is, would be useful, will be a good addition to the rest of the intelligent infrastructures that several municipalities are putting in place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For example, also there will be some communication between the car, yes, the infrastructure, the other cars, and so on.
Correct. Yes. For example, here in Modena, so there is this MASA experiment, which is also sponsored by the European Union, which is basically a series of roads which are equipped with communication infrastructure, 5G, and so on, exactly to experiment this new type of mobility and these two type of interaction between basically city information about the city, cars, and yeah.
So right now it's a demo version, still full disclosure for our audience. We had to have some help from the local police to close the road to shoot everything on the intersection. But is it actually possible to have something like that on the roads already, like from the legislative point of view?
No. So at the moment, no, and this is one of the most complicated part. So the legislation is not harmonized across Europe. There are movements to go towards this direction. The problem is more or less the same problems that also these type of new mobility rollers or e-scooter, depending on how depending on the country, so they are called differently. These type of objects, okay, they are subject to national legislation still. There is no harmonization at European level, and so, for example, here in Italy, you need a list. So after you get a safety certification for these. For this type of rover, okay, so that it is safe to stay on its own on the road. Then in order to get basically the proper permit, you need at least a first experimentation of around 6 months, and then you possibly need a second one of another 6 months before you can see some of these on the road, even when they are actively monitored by people. Okay, so and the autonomous step, the full autonomy is yet another step. Okay, but yes, so it is going to take, in the best case scenario, probably at least 1 other year before seeing some of these robots on the intersection on the road. And of course, you see, this is a prototype, so the signs are quite small, the case, and so it's probably not bump resistant, and so there are still modifications to be done.
One question about the signs, because when we were shooting the demo, I was quite curious, how I will react on the signs. The green, the green man walking, it's pretty clear. The red light is pretty clear. The stop sign. I guess this also needs to be compliant with the traffic regulations and so on. So this was also a very important aspect of the project. Yeah,
absolutely. So the sign should be larger, should be more visible. So the LEDs, so these are just prototype LEDs. So the LEDs should be different type so that they can be seen in any possible light condition. And also, so the type of sign should be in accordance to the regulation. And the system should also be equipped with some acoustic information.
So when there is a stop sign, there will be probably some warning.
Also for people. So I mean, the pedestrian that want to cross the intersection. So if they are not able to see, they should still be able to understand that it's safe in that moment to cross the road. In the case that this is set on the road,
it's pretty much the same with the regular traffic lights. Like for the blind people, there are the sound indications that would be probably the same.
Yes, something similar.
In addition to warnings and symbols on its screens, the current version of the robot sends information to the approaching car so that the driver can respond as quickly as possible. This is displayed on the car's infotainment system. The current prototype runs based on an app developed at the Czech Technical University in Prague, which we will talk about later. However, the developers at Škoda Auto have come up with another solution to improve signaling when pedestrians are on the crossings. Not only could the driver behind the wheel receive information via the so-called HMI in the car, but signs could also be displayed to the pedestrians so that the people crossing know that the car is braking or if it's not going to stop. And that was the reason Škoda Auto developed a special prototype mask for the Enyaq IV. It was explained to me by Zdeněk Herda, HMI simulation and automatic control specialist from the EBK department at Škoda Auto. When you look at the mask, it's on first sight, it's not the crystal face mask as on usual Enyaq. So what is it? Can you describe it a little bit?
Yes, it's a prototype mask developed especially for the IP2X project, and it consists of programmable LED strip, when every LED is controlled separately. Then we have power source and these reflectors and some kind of diffusion layer to make the picture more like animation. To don't see the LED point, only the LED point. So this is the reason why I have these. And the motivation was to show to the pedestrians or other people on the road, on the street, to show some signals.
Yes, it's some kind of extension of the IP2X system. Like the rover itself has its own screens, and this is another one to get more information to the pedestrians.
Yes, the rover has its own HMI, and we decide for this project to support this HMI on the rover by HMI on the car, of course. So we developed this really big LED mask to show the signals from far distance or long distance.
As you said, it's a prototype, so it won't look like that probably. If something like that will appear.
For a serious project, it can't looks like this because it's too huge for the serious production. And you have to develop some signals which are understandable, in a small enough maybe or large enough, you don't know in the current time. And then it will develop to some special symbols or strips or colors maybe.
Why did you decide to use mask? Like why to put this information on this crystal face or prototype mask?
The one point was the crystal mask itself, because Enyaq has this light feature inbuilt on the series production, and another one was to find some combination of other signals, not only this big mask. The first idea was to find the position where to show the signals, some signals for the pedestrians, because the vehicles becomes to be piloted, and most people are looking for a driver to have eye contact with the driver if he will stop or continue with driving. So the first one was the LED strip on the top of the windshield, but this is too small to be visible from the long distances, and people still were searching for the driver. So we decided to use this big mask. When we expect and we have it confirmed that people looks on this mask primary.
As mentioned, the rover and car currently communicate via a special smartphone app developed at the Czech Technical University in Prague. How does it work, and might it be an option for a similar warning system even for cars not produced by the Volkswagen Group or older models? Michal Sojka from the Czech Institute of Informatics, Robotics and Cybernetics at the Czech Technical University answers those very questions. How difficult was to make the car and the rover communicate to each other?
So it was difficult for several reasons. One of them is that there is no standard communication between the infrastructure and the car. So we had to select between different variants. We end up with simple 5G communication because it was easily available. But we did some research what's available and what are the benefits or disadvantages of each technology. This was one side of the communication from the rover to the car, and the other side of the communication was from the mobile phone to the car infotainment display, and there are also few technologies which are of different maturity, different capabilities, so we also have to try different technologies to come up with something which actually works.
Yeah. Why did you choose the 5G at the end? Because a few years ago there was a debate like what, let's say, standard will there be for the communication between car and infrastructure. There were different types of communication. Right now we're basically talking about the mobile data. So why is that? Because it's available?
Definitely, because it's available and it's easy to use. From programmer's point of view, it's just like any other mobile application, and it simply works. So that's the reason.
And also, as a non-technical person, I would say that like we already have some devices, smartphones, that are already using the 5G infrastructure. So I guess this is also another advantage, let's say?
Yeah, definitely this, that people have their mobile phones and can use them. The other advantage is that 5G is capable of much more than like standard mobile networks like 4G, 3G. It can be used also for video transfers and so on. So if there are in the future, if there are like more demanding application with respect to communication bandwidth, 5G would easily accommodate that, and all these things could be integrated to a single, let's say, application or a single platform.
And then the 6G will come, and 7G, and so on. But let's get back to the app. You mentioned that it was kind of byproduct of the project. But again, from the user point of view, for me it makes sense to have not only the, let's say, built-in app in the infotainment, but also have some kind of gadget or device to use it in whatever car I'm driving, because let's face it, not everybody will drive the newest version of Škoda with the newest version of the software. Maybe I will want to use it in some older car or something like that. So it's kind of useful to have also this mobile version.
Yeah, definitely. I myself use it like this with car navigation. So why not to install any other application and just make use of my mobile phone? On the other hand, well, people are lazy and not everybody will want to install applications just to get warned about pedestrian crossing. So if this application is built in, or the functionality is built into the car, it will definitely be a good thing as well.
When do you think we can meet these IPA2X rovers? It was, I don't know, 25. It's the very optimistic scenario.
Yeah, not before, let's say, during 24. So yeah, this is the most optimistic scenario. So I think not before 25. This is a safe bet. Yes.
A safe bet. It's okay. Yeah. Andrea, thank you very much for the interview.
Thank you.